What's up, everybody? How you doing? Just wanted to come on here and do a quick video. I work with a lot of younger buyers, a lot of first-time home buyers, and on the other end of the spectrum, people who haven't bought in a while or sold in a while. And it's usually the same questions and it's a good thing. What should we do? Who should we talk to first? A lot of the people, you never want to put the cart in front of the horse. And this is just 5 pretty easy steps. There's a million more little intricacies, but the first couple are just really big things that I think if you're in the process of potentially renting or looking to buy for the first time, doing these things first and kind of in an order as you go through your buying process will really help alleviate some of the stress, some of the problems that you may encounter otherwise. And some of it will be common sense, but as they say, common sense isn't all that common. So I figured it would just be helpful to throw these out there and you guys make the decision. I'll put bullet points in the bottom in the description as well, showing the 5, so that way you can scroll through. And if you'd like to just pick and choose what you want to watch out of this, feel free to. The first one, this is a big one. If you're buying cash, it's not a big deal, but most first-time home buyers will not be buying cash. And if you're not, before you even go look at houses, talk to a lender. You might go online and do your calculations and have an idea what you can afford, but it's different depending on the type of property. If it's a co-op, if it's a single-family house, if there's an association. It can also be different of some debt, it will not go against your DTI, which is your debt to income ratio, while other debts will. Sometimes it's as easy as paying off a $1,500 or $1,000 credit card to change everything around and make all your numbers work. But the biggest mistake I have seen potential buyers do is assume, unfortunately, and we all know what assume kind of stands for. But if they were to assume, they could, let's just say, for example, a $400,000 to $500,000 house, and they go out and start looking and find this amazing home for $485,000 or $490,000. Write up an offer, and we get the contract over to their lender, and their lender runs the numbers, and their DTI is 55, and there's no chance they can make it work. Well, now there's heartbreak. There's issues. I mean, you've taken a property that should have never gone off the market and taken it off the market, so it's not fair to that listing agent, it's not fair to that seller. There's a lot of kind of ripple effect to that, and none of it's really fair. But it all comes back to, if you were to talk to a lender and know what you can afford before going to see those homes, you're going to get the right search parameters put together. You're going to go see the right homes from the start, and when you make that offer, you're going to be prepared to take that next step. And if it gets accepted, to be able to move forward and not fumble the ball and have things like this potentially happen. The second one, and this is rolling right off of that, stay within your budget. Just because a lender tells you can afford $500,000, if you know, and mathematically you start doing the math and you think that 400,000 or X amount, let's say 500,000 is a $2,500 a month mortgage, and you really want to stay at 2,000 a month. Talk to your lender and say, hey, this is where I want to be. I want to be at 2,000 a month, run my numbers there, and where will we be? Don't overextend yourself. That's the biggest thing I can say is you don't want to be house poor. Our market's in a great spot. It's been moving up. I mean, even if it drops down a little, house poor per se, you're not. But if you can't afford the bills, even if there's equity in the home, now you're taking out a HELOC at a high interest rate. There's so many little issues that can come from that when it really shouldn't have been an issue. When you're purchasing, you want to stay within that budget. You want to have a cushion, and you want to keep, I mean, excuse my language, but I call it a no shit fund. You want to have some money in case, God forbid, you buy and your AC breaks, or you have a water leak, or a window breaks. It could be a little thing, the fence comes down, or it could be a bigger thing, a roof leak. You want to have some money. Not saying everyone's going to have $50,000 or $100,000 sitting around, but have 5 or 10 grand. Have something, at least. Have a percentage of what the value of that home is, that at least if something comes up, you have some funds and you're not immediately dipping into credit. It can really start to snowball and put you in a tough spot right from the start. Another big one, and I have a lot of people ask me this, and I think it's just people don't know, which is good. Use a realtor. I'm a realtor. I'm saying this, and most people watching this won't be in my area anyway. So it's not in regards to me trying to get business. It's for your safety and for your protection. You don't pay anything as a buyer. The commission and the way that I would make money is off of the listing agent side and off of the listing side. That seller pays a commission to help bring a buyer. So I would be paid from that. So it never comes out of your pocket. Let's say you hire a realtor and you're like, oh my God, a month in, 6 months in, you don't get along, you don't like each other, it doesn't work, you're not the right fit. Fire them. It won't cost you anything. I mean, unfortunately, it happens quite often. I've worked with clients before, and you're not the right fit, or they go from looking here to looking in Naples, and now I can't help them anymore, or whatever it may be. It is what it is. That's time lost. I mean, that's kind of the cost of the business. It's unfortunate sometimes, but that's the way it is. Just like with a listing, you don't sell them all, and sometimes you'll spend hundreds or thousands of dollars marketing a property, and you don't make anything on it. That's kind of the intrinsic built-in cost of doing this job and what you have to prepare for. But for your end, don't try and cut corners and save a few bucks. You won't. You're not having to pay for it anyway. Hire a professional. Hire somebody to write the contracts for you, to look out for your best interests when changes come up, to make sure that they can negotiate the best for your inspection. And things that you might not think are a big deal might be a big deal. And they'll help prioritize that. Obviously, what you think and want matters, but the agent can potentially shed light on things that you might not necessarily think are as big of a deal as they are. And in hindsight, if there's no cost in that, why not just bring on the professional? Number 4, and this is a big one. It snowballs right into that. Bring in a professional for inspection, whether you're cash, whether you don't even have an inspection contingency, whatever it may be. You want to know what are behind those walls. If you're buying it as an investor in your cash and you're literally gutting it, different story. This is for first-time home buyers. Those people are not. Do an inspection. Even if you're not going to ask for credits and the home comes out perfectly, even if there's little things, it helps to know what those little things are. In my last home, I knew I wasn't going to ask for anything, and we knew we were going to be doing some work, but I still did an inspection. It was $800 or $1,000. But I found out a few little things that I wouldn't have known otherwise, mostly electrical and plumbing, that I was able to, for a couple $1,000, rectify, fix, which will save us a lot of problems in the future. So I think sometimes it's just getting in front of things and nipping things in the bud instead of letting a small thing kind of spiral out of control and a $200 repair becomes a $5,000 job. It's just something to pay attention to. Again, inspections at all ranges on the cost of the property and the size on how much an inspection is, anywhere from a few $100s to a few thousand. But for first-time home buyers, it most likely is going to be under $1,000, and it's probably some of the best $1,000 you'll spend. Either there'll be nothing wrong and it's worth $1,000, or there'll be enough wrong that you'll be able to get a credit back and cover that inspection cost. So either way, it really is a win-win on that. In the 5th one, this is kind of big. Make sure to calculate, as you notice, a lot of these come back to finances. And I think that's a big portion, first-time home buyers, knowing what you can afford and staying comfortable. But number 5 is make sure to calculate the miscellaneous fees and add in taxes, add in the other things. So when you're buying a condo or an HOA or something in a building, you're gonna have an HOA. Make sure you have that fee, but make sure you also have any assessments, any quarterly bills, whatever your insurance, your taxes, and whatever else small bills that the association may have coming up. Single family homes is another one, and this is a big one. Make sure you calculate your pool, your yard, your tree trimmings. Down here you have a lot of big trees for hurricane season. I mean, I just had my trees trimmed. It was almost $1,500. It's not cheap, but you need to do it because it cleans out the big oak trees, cleans out the palms, the debris and everything before a big storm. It's the thing to do, but you need to calculate that. I mean, it breaks down to almost $200 a month. I do it twice a year, one big and one small. So it's something you need to calculate. It $2,500 a year for my house. Pool service, $150. Lawn service, $150. All these things are small, but they all add up. The big ones are on the older homes, and these two things are becoming prevalent, and this is like 5A and B, because there is some info that needs to go here. Insurance. Older home, Citizen is the Florida insurer. There are 2 other insurance companies coming back in next year. But insurance is a big one. So make sure that when you're doing this, that you're calculating what the insurance is and that there's enough life on the plumbing, on the roof, on everything else, that your insurance isn't potentially going to just bump in a few years. No one ever knows, but knowing that you're buying a house that has more than 2 or 3 years of roof life left is big. You need that buffer, so if anything changes, you're not immediately getting called to potentially replace a $50,000 or $100,000 roof. And then the other big one, and this is huge, is taxes. I've had so many people, and you have to correct them, even if it's not your client, just because it's the right thing to do. But at my listings, I've had people come in, and maybe it's a house that's been on the market or been owned for 25 or 30 years. person maybe paid $100,000 for it. Their taxes very well could be $6,000 or $7,000 a year. They've homesteaded it. The ability to lock those rates in very low has kept their taxes low off of their purchase price. If that home's maybe listed now for $1.5 million, the new buyer's taxes will not be the $6,000 that the past seller is paying. It's going to be calculated on that new purchase price. And so many people don't understand this, and it gets you in such a big problem 6 to 12 months down the road. For example, that house that we're talking about, that's $6,000, if it sells at $1.5 million, those taxes, even if you homesteaded and they're an assessed rate, let's say is $1,350,000, your taxes are going to be $20,000 to $23,000, $24,000 a year. So they could very well be $15,000 to $20,000 a year more. That's a huge number. That's $1,500 a month. So if somebody's not calculating that in when they buy their home, they very quickly go from being able to afford it to not being able to afford it very quickly. $1,500 jumps in, and it all of a sudden makes it non-affordable. Easiest way to do that is you run your own millage rate. You know the basic millage rate. In our area, we just use 2%, 1.8% to make it easy. And you pretty much just calculate that off your purchase price, round it down to the lowest 1,000, and that's about what your taxes are going to be. But don't get caught in that trap of the last person's savings are going to be yours. If you have portability and things, there might be a big difference. I'll do another video on portability to explain it more. But just in short, be careful. Don't get in over your head. Always make sure that you have a cushion and you're able to do it. These 5 are not by any means the only tips that you're going to need. There's a million other things, and feel free if you have any questions. I'm happy to elaborate on anything. But I think these 5 tips are big main ones from before you even talk to somebody to going through your purchase process to make sure that you're going to be financially able to both purchase the home and afford it down the road and put yourself in a better position to hopefully build some equity. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer anything I can. Give me a call, shoot me an email, drop anything in the comments. And I always do want you to know as well, location's important. It's something that I think in different areas it's less or more important. Down here in South Florida, location is huge. I mean, the same location is very prevalent and very pertinent down here. You can always fix up and upgrade a home. You can't move it. So make sure that you're not buying the nicest home in a neighborhood. I'd always rather buy the crappiest home in the nicest neighborhood than the nicest home in the worst neighborhood, because of the upside and potentially what you can build into that equity. It always comes back to equity build, and in keeping yourself in the good position in the home, so you're always able to be flexible and be fluid. As always, I appreciate your time. Like and subscribe if you want some more videos like this. And you guys have a great week. Thank you.